Have you ever wondered who among the Hashiras would eventually betray the Demon Slayer Corps? Well, I have. The first Hashira that comes to mind is actually Sanemi, Shinazugawa. I know what you're thinking, it may sound impossible because of his portrayal as a loyal and dedicated member of the Demon Slayer Corps, determined to eradicate demons and protect humanity. To top it off, his character is driven by a strong sense of justice and duty. But what if by some twist of fate, Sanemi betrays the Demon Slayer Corps? What will be his reason, and how would the story change? Well, don't worry, because that's exactly what we'll be talking about in this video. But this will contain spoilers, so I'm just going to give you a heads up. Nonetheless, buckle up and hold on to your seats because this is going to be a bumpy ride. Sanemi Shinazugawa is a proud member of the Demon Slayer Corps, bearing the title of Hashira, the highest title a Demon Slayer could attain. He was first introduced in Season 1, Episode 22, when Tanjiro and Nezuko were brought to meet Oyakata-sama, and in their interaction, Sanemi showcased his loyalty to the Demon Slayer Corps by trying to prove no demon could resist the blood of a human. Now, this is what I mean when I say Sanemi is unhinged most of the time. His actions point him towards being ruthless and sometimes insane. I mean, no one would voluntarily cut themselves. Plus, his temper is quite uncontrollable for a Hashira. So what would be Sanemi's reason for betraying the Demon Slayer Corps? Well, on the top of my head, I can think of two possible reasons for Sanemi to betray everything he ever stood for. One would be because of a psychological breakdown and manipulation caused by years of fighting demons and facing numerous deaths, and two would be because of disillusionment towards the Demon Slayer Corps. But why would the first be psychological breakdown and manipulation? We all know that Sanemi's temper and mental stability can be put into question since as a kid, Sanemi lost 5 of his siblings to a demon which turned out to be his mother, and in return he had to kill his mother himself. After that, Sanemi left Kenya and went on a suicide mission to hunt and kill demons all by himself. With that in mind, we all know Sanemi is truly either unhinged or just plain crazy. After losing his siblings and mother later in life, Sanemi would also lose his friend Kumeno after battling the Lower Moon 1. This would add to the emotional trauma Sanemi would have later in the series. Although it may seem that Sanemi has his emotions under control, the news of Kyojuro Rengoku's death would be the turning point of his narrative. After learning of Rengoku's death, Sanemi snaps and loses grip of his sanity, leading him to make a lot of irrational decisions. As Sanemi continues to slip into madness, he disappears from the Demon Slayer Corps completely, and during this time in solitude, he comes across Muzan. This is where things start to head south for Sanemi. As Muzan lays his eyes on the unhinged stranger, he notices the Nichiren blade and the wisteria engravings on Sanemi's sword. Muzan then quickly realizes that this stranger is a Hashira. Upon seeing Sanemi in a deluded state, Muzan carefully approaches him and engages in conversation. Due to Sanemi's vulnerability, Muzan's probing allows him to extract various secrets from the deranged Hashira. One example of these various secrets is the whereabouts of Kagaya Ubuyashiki and the other Hashiras. Adding insult to injury, Muzan feeds Sanemi's head with vengeful thoughts, pinning the death of everyone he loves as the Demon Slayer Corps fault. Armed with these thoughts, Sanemi plays into Muzan's hand and becomes a demon to exact his revenge. How would this scenario affect the story? Well, based on the fact that he is a Hashira and he's second only to Gyome, his siding with Muzan and becoming a demon would be very bad news for the entire Demon Slayer Corps. With the knowledge of Kagaya's location, Muzan skips the festivities and goes directly for the throat. This would mean that the Hashira training arc, Infinity Castle arc, and Sunrise Countdown arc would never occur. It is important to also remember that during the Hashira training arc is where they decided to seek help from Lady Tamayo and put an end to Muzan's life. And since Muzan already knows Kagaya's location, there would be no time for the Hashiras and Demon Slayers to train. This would also mean Shinobu and Lady Tamayo would not be able to work together and devise a poison that would help in taking down Muzan. This would end the story much more quickly and brutally. For the longest time, Muzan has always wanted to kill the head of the Demon Slayer Corps and erase the organization once and for all. And now with Sanemi's help, the opportunity arrived at a spectacular moment. Wasting no time, Muzan and the Upper Moons, along with the demonized Sanemi, make their move to eradicate the entire Demon Slayer Corps. Pulling up on the Ubuyashiki estate, Muzan orders the 12 Kizuki to kill anyone on sight. Without time to prepare, the Demon Slayer Corps falls into chaos as Muzan and the Upper Moons slaughter everyone they see. To make matters worse, this would be the first time that all the Upper Moons are gathered in one place, and so are the Hashiras. This could only mean one thing: an all-out war for both sides, with the Hashiras on the losing side. In this encounter, it's very safe to say that regardless of the Hashira's strength and whether they're unlocked their Demon Slayer marks or not, in a 5v6 battle, the Hashiras would lose badly. So in this scenario, the Hashiras, the entire Demon Slayer Corps, and the Ubuyashiki family would be wiped out, all thanks to Sanemi. If you're wondering, would he ever snap back to reality and realize the mistakes he had made? Or maybe would he participate in killing the Corps? My answer to those questions is the same. Yes, of course he would. After seeing Genya's lifeless body, Sanemi looks around and sees the horror that his betrayal has caused. This would force the former Wind Hashira to go on a rampage and make things right in a last-ditch effort to atone for his sins. Sanemi faces off against the Upper Moons alone. In his demonized form, the effects of his blood against demons are heightened. Along with his breathing style and demon powers, Sanemi is able to take on the Upper Moons. Through an intense battle, Sanemi in his current state was able to decapitate Akaza, ending his life, but later on, Sanemi would be killed by Muzan for his outburst, thus putting an end to the Demon Slayer story. But what would happen if Sanemi had a disillusionment toward the Demon Slayer Corps? This would still happen under the circumstance of Kyojuro Rengoku's death, seeing as to how the scenario played out during the Infinity Train arc. Kagaya Ubuyashiki should have known that the villain at hand was no ordinary demon. For Sanemi, the only logical solution to this was to send 2 Hashiras to take care of the problem and to ensure everyone's safety. But since Kagaya decided to leave the issue for Rengoku and Tanjiro's group to handle, which cost him a valuable asset to the team with this reasoning, Sanemi could become disillusioned to the Demon Slayer Corps methods and start questioning Kagaya's decision. While it's true that their job requires sacrifice, it should not necessarily mean death for the Hashiras. Differences in ideology or philosophy would be born, and eventually lead Sanemi to believe that the Corps no longer represented his values or goals, prompting him to make an irrational decision. Sanemi, who no longer agrees with Kagaya Ubuyashiki's way of guiding the entire Demon Slayer Corps, decides it's time for new management to take over, or he could become a rogue Demon Slayer who upholds justice the way he wants. But I'm gonna go with the first one, where Sanemi makes a plan to overthrow the Ubuyashiki family. Sanemi silently organizes a coup. He and his group patiently waited for the right time to enact their plan. And how would the scenario affect the story? Well, that's easy. Using his status and influence as a Hashira and the Hashira training arc, Sanemi increases his followers and prepares to overthrow the Ubuyashiki family. But to avoid suspicion, Sanemi cleverly plots his coup flawlessly as the Hashiras train the Demon Slayers day in and day out. While the others are busy with training, Sanemi sneaks out of the watchful eyes of his allies and looks for a way to contact Muzan. Same with the first scenario. The Infinity Castle arc and Sunrise Countdown arc would no longer exist because of the following events. After traveling a significant distance, Sanemi stumbles upon the External Paradise cult, where he meets Doma, the Upper Moon too. As he makes it clear that he is not there to pick a fight with Doma, Doma convinces Muzan to allow the Hashira to meet him in person. As Muzan grants his wish, Sanemi reveals everything he knows about the Demon Slayer's plans. Upon revealing Kagaya's location and the training the Demon Slayer Corps is undergoing, Muzan assembles the remaining members of the 12 Demon Moons to prepare and launch an attack. But before that, Sanemi reveals yet another secret to Muzan. On his way out, Sanemi overhears Kagaya talking to someone he trusts about creating an alliance with Lady Tamayo, as well as Nezuko's whereabouts. Obviously, this information makes Muzan happy, but it is not enough for Muzan to consider sparing Sanemi's life. Continuing with the information he gained, Muzan carefully planned his next step, aware of the dangers the Demon Slayers were plotting against him. The Demon King made sure he would come out unscathed in their battle. With the knowledge of where the Demon Slayers are hiding Nezuko, Muzan prioritizes Nezuko's capture more than Kagaya's death. And by doing so, he's accompanied by Kokoshibo to retrieve the missing piece to his puzzle. With the Kamado siblings separated, Muzan is successful in capturing and absorbing Nezuko, and finally evolves into the perfect being. With this, Muzan's 1,000-year-long dream has finally been accomplished. He is now able to conquer the sun. At this moment, only one major inconvenience was left for Muzan to take care of: the Demon Slayer Corps. Not aware of everything that had already happened, the Demon Slayers were in for a treat when Muzan and the remaining members of the 12 Demon Moons appeared in front of them in broad daylight. As Tanjiro watched Muzan casually walk under the sun, despair flooded his body, because this could only mean one thing: Muzan had already absorbed his sister. As Tanjiro and the others stood in fear and shock, the Upper Moons wasted no time and proceeded to kill everyone on sight. With the freedom they possessed, there was no longer a need to fear death. One by one, the Demon Slayers fell like mosquitoes to the ground. As an all-out war was descending upon the Demon Slayer Corps, the Hashira did everything they could to turn the tides. Those who could grab their swords and fight fought with everything they had. Tanjiro, who managed to snap out of his despair, joined Zenitsu and Inosuke on the battlefield. The effects of Sanemi's irrational decision proved to be fatal, not just for him, but for everyone else as well. With the Upper Moons able to fight under the sun without consequence, all the training the Hashiras did proved to be of little help in their current situation. As Tanjiro entered the battlefield along with Zenitsu and Inosuke, Akaza stops them in the tracks, recalling what Tanjiro told him during his fight against Rengoku. Akaza taunts him and engages in a fight. Inosuke and Tanjiro take on Akaza while Zenitsu dashes away and looks for Kaigaku to settle their score. As the battle rages on and countless lives are lost, the only ones that are left standing are Gyu, Gyome, Obanai, Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu, while on the demon side, only Kaigaku is slain by Zenitsu. Without any weakness, the Upper Moons were unstoppable, and as the Hashiras were pushed to the edge by the overwhelming strength of their enemies, all hope was lost. Even with the Demon Slayer marks and the red Nishirin blades, the odds of Tanjiro and his allies winning were slim. With Akaza, Kokushibo, and Doma working together, the battle looked like David and Goliath. Only this time, David ran out of stones to throw. To make things worse, Muzan had finally succeeded in killing Kagaya Ubuyashiki. Turns out, the only reason why the Upper Moons did not kill the remaining Hashiras just yet was because Muzan would be the one to deliver the final blow. Seeing Muzan arrive on the battlefield broke the Hashira spirit, since they knew if Muzan was there, it meant Kagaya was already dead. With nothing left to lose, the Hashiras, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke ignited their souls one last time and poured their hearts into every strike in hopes that their weapons would reach and injure Muzan. As effortless as he could, Muzan dodged, parried, and countered their every move, mocking them for being so weak. As they fell one by one, Muzan purposely left Tanjiro for last to make his final moments a living nightmare before finishing him off. That's it for this video, guys. What do you think of the story? Pretty crazy, right? Let us know down in the comments, and also don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content like this. See you in the next one.